This video is meant to tell you everything you need to know about the CompXM exam. This video will cover how to set up and schedule your exam, grading and evaluation, and assurance of learning. Please note that some Webster courses will be using the exam and others will not. If you are unsure if your course needs to have the exam, please consult with your program director to be sure. Let's get things started off here by taking a look at the setup and schedule steps for your exam. When your course is initially created for you, CompXM will automatically be added to your course card according to whatever course you are covering. However, even though the course is automatically added to your cart for you, you'll still need to set up and schedule the exam. To do so, you'll start by going to your course dashboard and then by clicking on Add Exam. Next, you'll choose the third option on this page that says a new exam with information from the MSI generic exam. Then you'll be able to give a title to your exam. We recommend that you include your last name and the term you are teaching to keep track of things in the future. The schedule outlines when the exam will open and close. Students will be able to view the exam guide at any time before the exam formally opens, and once the exam begins, they'll be able to complete it at their own self-pace. However, if you want to set a schedule for each round of your exam, you can do so after creating the formal exam itself, but most instructors stick with a self-paced exam that is in place by default. Once you've given your exam a title and schedule, you can choose to customize things a bit further. We recommend that you shuffle the question order and let students see results, which can be done by checking on these boxes. These settings, including the schedule, can be changed after exam is set up, so don't worry if things change later on. You can also add on additional question packs to your course, but this is not required. Before doing so, we recommend that you check with your university administration to make sure you have a comparable exam to the others in your school for any departmental evaluation or assurance of learning needs. Now, in the next section, we'll be going over grading and evaluation. We'll be looking at some results from an example course. So, these have been intentionally designed for us for some nice standardization purposes. Now, when it comes to grading and evaluating the results of the CompXM exam, the exam is meant to be a comprehensive test of a student's business program. Because of this, CAPS provides a wide range of data on a student's exam and the class as a whole. To help you with your grading, we have a few different options found under the Student Results section on your exam dashboard. The first report, labeled Student Scores, gives a breakdown of student scores on the board query, multiple choice, and balanced scorecard simulation, and overall exam scores. The default score is 1,000 points overall, though this would indicate someone running a perfect or ideal business, which is unrealistic. Instead, what we find is that most undergraduate students score around 650 points, and most graduate students score an average of 700 points. Accordingly, most instructors choose to grade their students either based on an objective cut score, grounded in those averages, or even many more choose to grade on a curve based upon those in their class, taking the high watermark, and then dividing all of their student scores based off of that. To help determine this curve, we can provide a raw and adjusted percentage for each student, as shown here under student scoring. This provides their grade based upon the highest score in the class. For additional context, a percentile is also listed, which compares a student's performance to all other students in the same population group who took the exam, such as capstone graduate students, foundation undergraduates, and many others. You can always check or update your population group by going to your exam dashboard, followed by Exam Preferences, and then making your changes there. Beyond student scores, instructors can also use another tool here, listed as comparative scores, class standings, and functional score reports. The comparative scores section helps provide percentile rankings for students' scorecards and board queries, all relative to the comparison group. Meanwhile, the class standings provide a detailed overview of how your students did on each board query item, relative to the average, and providing a graph comparing your students with the international average on each of the 4 balanced scorecard pillars. Functional scores, meanwhile, detail your student and class performance across 6 different content areas, again providing you a comparison as well. Moving past grading and evaluation for your course, we can now start to take a brief look at assessment and assurance of learning. Because many universities use CAPSM's COP-XM exam as part of their assurance of learning process, it's important for you to be prepared on how to gather this data, analyze it, and provide it to your program evaluator. Now, in most cases, you won't be having to do most of the heavy lifting, as many of these reports are automated. However, we just want to at least expose you to how you can access some of the data if you're requested to do so. By taking a look under student results, we can get started by going to Assurance of Learning Report here on the bottom right-hand corner. When we pull this up, we'll see that this automated report provides data that is linked to 7 general learning goals that are used by a wide array of business schools. From here, we can build this report for our exam, confirm that we're using the general learning goals, and on the next page, it will show you what goals you can assess with your exam in particular. From here, you can build a report focused on just one goal or all the available goals. By default, 3 of these goals are covered by the basic exam and the simulation by extension. However, we'll see that there are 4 other goals here listed and often grayed out. This is because the base simulation does not cover these areas, and these questions, which can be assessed through the exam itself, are left off by default. But when creating your exam, as we recall from the beginning of the video, they can be added later on. In most cases, universities aren't going to be assessing these unless it's part of another specific program. So, if you've not been otherwise directed to do so, it's perfectly normal to see these areas grayed out. Now, once we pull up the full report, we'll see a listing here of the average performance for each student and per goal, along with some class averages and standard deviations shown at the bottom of the report. From here, we can get a closer look at the details behind any goal by clicking on View to see the data that goes into that average, along with a list of the balanced scorecard areas and board query items that help assess that goal. In most cases, assurance of learning reports are constructed, in part, by gathering the data of several instructors and courses over time at a university. To do this, what you'll need to do is download the PDF or CSV report and then provide it to whoever oversees accreditation or assurance of learning at your institution. Then, from there, they'll usually go ahead and build reports from yourself, your colleagues, and courses over time to get a better idea of how internally things are changing at the university level. This concludes our coverage of the assessment and assurance of learning reports, along with the COMP-XM exam overall. As with anything else in these training videos, please feel free to reach out to our support team if you have any questions or concerns.